Catalyst Training. Good morning, everyone. It's Lily here, and I'm with my friend Sean from Catalyst Training Systems. I was just laughing before we went live because I always say Catalyst Systems Training. Hold on, which one is it?
Yeah.
Catalyst Training System. So I said it right.
Yeah.
As always, every single week I bring fitness questions to Sean and he answers them. He shares his expertise. At the same time, I feel like I'm learning a lot as well. So we're going to dive into it right away. The first question comes from Jason. Jason, who's actually a friend of mine. So he was asking, I'm used to lifting weights at a gym. I've never trained my body in any other way. However, I lost my job and I can no longer afford a gym. What are some exercises I can do? I really don't want to lose my muscle mass.
Body weight exercises can be done anywhere and everywhere. So if you don't have access to a gym and like you can't afford to buy weights for your house or anything like that, body weight is a pretty good option. A lot of people have built a lot of muscle mass, more than the average person with just body weight exercises. So like they shouldn't be overlooked as a tool for building muscle because your body doesn't really know that you're lifting a dumbbell. It just knows that you're lifting a specific load. So whether you're doing like pushing weights or you're doing push-ups, if your body weight is giving you the same amount of loading as weights would, your body can't really tell the difference too much. So loading is loading, and body weight, you can do a lot with that.
That's actually really good. It's a change in mindset, I think. A lot of people think that, oh, I need fancy equipment or I need to go to a gym to get a good workout. But it's such a good point that you made. Like loading weights is loading weights. Your body doesn't know a difference whether if you're holding a dumbbell or you're holding your own weight. That's pretty cool. I like that mindset shift. Now, Sean, is there a place that Jason can go to get some exercises online? Do you have anything online that could help him?
Yeah, if you go to my old like the gym's YouTube page, we do have somewhat of an exercise library there that we use for our online clients. So there are some body weight exercises and examples of me doing them on there.
Okay.
So you can go check that. But like YouTube is so huge now, there are entire channels with thousands of videos dedicated to just body weight training. So you can always go on and do a little search and you'll find tons of stuff.
But I think it's better if he goes on your channel and finds your exercises. Yeah. They're better.
At least the way I would demonstrate them.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to send him over to your channel to see if there's some body weight exercises he can do at home. Great. All right. So next question. This is an interesting one. Comes from a friend of mine as well. Is it possible to have massive muscles and be flexible at the same time? If so, how? There seems to be a myth that if you're really muscular, you're not flexible, and vice versa.
Yes, it is a myth. It's definitely a correlation though, because most people who like lift a lot of weights, your muscles do get tight, and most people don't really care about stretching or being flexible. So most people who are muscular will lose their flexibility. So that's why it's so widespread, but it is totally possible. There are huge bodybuilders who compete at the highest levels who in their posing routines will like do the splits on stage or do things that most people who are not nearly as muscular don't have the flexibility to do. So it's because they do something to keep that flexibility or train it. Right? You're gonna lose what you don't use. So if you're all about lifting weights and you never stretch, then yes, you're not going to be flexible at all. But if you do lift weights and you contrast that with doing some stretches and focusing on flexibility being something you do want to improve, then like there's nothing stopping you from being more flexible.
That's true. So I'm one of those people. When I go to the gym, I will work out, but I have a really terrible habit of not stretching.
I'm the same.
I don't know what it is. Like it drives me nuts. And I used to do a lot of performances, which required me to do the splits. So I had a reason to be flexible. So I would have to do these stretches. But recently I haven't been doing any performances. I find stretching like just a chore. Like, do you have any suggestions to help people like me?
To help people like you, I'm one of those people. I'm a person like you. I don't like stretching. I've never
It
liked stretching.
sucks. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's really horrible, but um, there's a few things you can do. Like you can make a goal out of it. So, like you said, you had no reason to stretch unless you had to do the splits in a performance. So there was a goal and there was a reason for you to stretch. But like, if you're stretching just for the sake of stretching, then you probably won't do it.
Yeah.
For me, stretching, I rarely stretch. I've been incorporating some now, and it usually only happens when I'm injured or like I'm being limited in some way, like I can't do a specific movement that I actually want to do
Yeah.
unless I do some sort of stretching. So maybe finding something to motivate you that isn't stretching itself, because chances are you're not going to be motivated to do stretching just for the stretching.
Yeah.
But if you made it a goal to like do the splits again, or do the splits for the first time, or like do some specific pose, or like compete, or do some sort of activity which requires you to be flexible in a certain position, then you're more likely to carry through and like follow through with the stretching.
Mm. Also, another thing that I find with stretching is I feel like I overstretch sometimes. So I would work out. I would do my warm up and I would stretch and then work out. And then I would stretch again at the end. I feel like maybe I'm overstretching. So I end up getting a little sore and then that deters me from stretching again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people overstretch, both in how often they stretch, if they're people who actually like stretching, and like how far they push the stretch. Let's see. Useful information is you don't actually like when you stretch, you're not actually lengthening your muscles. You're kind of just training your body and your nervous system to get used to going deeper into a stretch and
Mm-hmm.
allowing you to do that. So pushing it really, really super far is actually kind of dangerous for your joints
Mm-hmm.
because now your muscles are not tight enough to like they're not stable enough to hold your joints in a safe position. So once you start to feel a stretch, like you don't have to push it that much farther. One thing I tell people when they do stretch, like my clients and stuff, is to focus on your breathing rather than how far you push the stretch. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like deep inhales and like long exhales will calm your nervous system down, allow your body to go deeper into stretch more than like forcing yourself like to really push the end range of a stretch. Like
Okay.
yeah, the length of your muscles is determined by your brain and the signals from your brain, not actually like the muscles themselves.
Mm. Mm. That's very, very interesting because like I've always seen it. Like dancers do this a lot, right? Like
Mhm.
dancers will like overstretch themselves or like they will go into the splits and it's so interesting. You're like it's determined by breathing and like breathing in your brain, you were saying, like your mind, not how much you can overstretch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna think about that. Maybe I'm gonna start stretching a little bit more. As soon as I feel a stretch, I need to let go, right?
I
Not
would
like
say I would
overstretch.
say feel a stretch and then focus on breathing in that position, like owning the position.
Mm,
So like there's a difference between flexibility and mobility. Okay? There are two terms and a lot of people use them synonymously, but they're actually different. Flexibility is like how far can you reach down and touch your toes, or like how far can someone pull your leg like behind your head or whatever. That's like flexibility, right? And mobility is like control, right? Like how far can you do that, right, on your own, right? It's like how stable is your body in order to do that. So like mobility is your control, and flexibility is more of like passive. So like if you can't breathe in a position, like let's say you're stretching really really far, or like trying to do the splits, and you're holding your breath because you're focusing more on pushing the stretch as far as you can. You're not relaxed, and your body knows that you don't control that position. You're just like trying to force yourself into it. But if you can hold the splits and take deep breaths and like have a conversation with someone, chances are your body knows that you can control that position and you're less tense.
Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. I think there are so many like different challenges. They have like the 30-day split challenge, all of that. How do you feel about those?
Like 30-day X exercise.
Whatever, yeah, 30 days split challenge, 30-day this challenge, 30-day whatever. What do you think about that in
Um,
general?
I think from a motivational standpoint, it's good to get people active. People know there's like a beginning and an end, and they usually with shorter time frames, people are like more likely to stick to it and track it. So from a getting active standpoint, they're great. From a standpoint of like, what are you trying to achieve with that? Some people think like it can be too short of a time frame to achieve something like amazing, that they might think like the 30-day squat challenge might give you like, I don't know, amazing legs and like defined abs and stuff, right? It's like, can you really achieve that? But like for beginners, as long as your form is good, I think that's another like
Mm,
drawback is like if you're doing 30 days of straight bad squats, you could end up with some injuries, or like 30 days of planks, like 5-minute planks that are not so great. You could end up with injuries. So those are the downsides.
yeah, I think that yeah, that's good too. I'm also thinking that I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he was talking about it's more on the motivational side. He says that I have done a lot of challenges, but I feel like I get challenged myself more. So one of the things I suggested him do is like, well, maybe what you can do is you could build your muscle to take on more challenges every day. And I said you could do stuff like, you know, exercises is the best way to kind of get your body going in there. So maybe you want to do a challenge of doing a plank, so
Mhm.
on. And then that could kind of train your brain into taking on more challenges as time goes. And his rebuttal to me was, well, I have done all of those things and I don't find it challenging.
Mhm.
And I didn't know how to answer that question because the purpose of that is to build your muscle to get used to more challenges as well. I want to get your outlook on how can we use like challenges with our body
Mhm.
to help us challenge our minds, because I think it's related in my opinion. I think in that conversation we kind of like agreed to disagree kind of thing, so we kind of let
Yeah,
it go. But I'm wondering how you feel about that.
like using uh, physical things to improve like your mind's uh, strength or tolerance for things.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I totally agree with you. Like for sure, there's a correlation between how far you can push your body or how far you're willing to push your body, and like unlocking what you believe is possible, or what is your threshold for pain or stopping, um, in terms of like your mental capacity. There are different ways. Like here at the gym, like we always put in like finishers in our clients' exercise programs,
Okay.
and they're hard. They're really hard, and a lot of people don't want to do them. Um,
Finishers. What are finishers? What are the
but
hard ones?
it's like something you throw in at the end of their workout, which either challenges them, like it usually challenges them physically, but mentally as well.
Okay.
And like yeah, so it's usually a lot of effort, not a ton of technique, but like a lot of effort. Um, and it's usually like we progress it, so it's things that they never thought they would be able to do. So in the beginning of their program, maybe in the beginning of the month, they do it 3 times, and at the end of the month, um, they'll do it like 10 times. But they thought they would never be able to do it more than 3 times. And like partially we put it in for the physical aspect, but also a big part of it is like the mental aspect is like how far, like usually they would stop at 3 unless we ask them to go to 10.
Okay.
Right. So it's just showing them like, yes, you can do it. You just have to like push through it, push through it, push through it. And then like now 3 doesn't seem so bad because you've already done 10. Like there are ways to push your body in order to help you push your mind. And like now new things are possible. And then I totally agree with you. And there are ways to improve both.
Yeah. Because I'm so fascinated by people who push the limits. Like one of my biggest fascinations is with Navy SEALs, and they're amazing. The things that they go through to get to where they are, and I find they're incredibly strong, both physically and mentally. And I think there's definitely a correlation, like you were saying. And I'm like trying to think about how can I incorporate more physical things to help me with my mindset as well. And also how can I give that over to my clients as well. Like one of the things that I do in my coaching sessions is do a shake it off exercise to really like physically do something to kind of get outside of your state. And I find it works beautifully. Because sometimes, like right now, I notice my energy level is better than I have been in the previous weeks because I'm actually standing. I'm not sitting.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to continue on with this as well. There's definitely a correlation. I'm fascinated by it. I think there's more research that I need to do. So Sean, we have one last question before we leave. I know we're getting to the 11:30 mark very soon. Last question is, what are the best things to eat to build muscles?
Okay. Protein. I'm sure. I'd say that is number 1.
Okay.
And then I would say second, carbohydrates.
Okay.
But the carbohydrates is kind of based on like everyone has dietary restrictions. They have, some people don't eat carbs, some people do, some people have trouble eating carbs. But protein is a must for building muscle. Like no matter what your dietary restrictions or beliefs are. Proteins are the building blocks for muscles. So if you're going to build muscle, they have to be built out of proteins. And in order to have enough in your system. And most people don't eat enough. They always think they do. And then when I tell them how much they have to eat and they actually track it, they're always shocked at how much they have to consume.
In terms of protein and carbohydrates, or in general?
In terms of protein. Like per day. Yeah, per day. Most people are very under their daily requirements. And it's like the food guide and also gives very low recommendations because all the standard recommendations that doctors and the food guide prescribe are based off of like a generic avatar of a person who is likely very sedentary. So the protein requirements are very low. And I think that's where people make the mistake of thinking that they're hitting it, is because all the media and most doctors will give you like the sedentary requirements, not taking into account like if you lift weights, if you're extremely active, if your goal is actually to build muscle or lose fat or any of those. That's all individual, and most people are well below their requirements. So protein is the number one thing, and then getting enough calories too, because in order to build muscle or build new tissue, you have to have enough raw materials. And if you're eating way less than your body needs, you'll more likely lose weight than build something new. So you need to be in somewhat of a surplus of calories and have enough protein.
Okay. So when you so say someone who is like my size, okay, so I'm 5'7", I'm 130 pounds. Okay. For me, if I wanted to like say I like Sean, I'm really gung-ho, I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
By I don't know, 6 months from now. Do you have a calculation in calculating how much protein and carbohydrates I need to take in every single day?
Yep. To build muscle, depends on how fast you want to go, but we'll go by your 6-month example.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say multiply your body weight by, this is highly individual, but I would say multiply your body weight by 14. So whatever your body weight is times 14. And then that's for your calories. Okay.
I'm doing the multiplication right now, Sean.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's for the calories. So multiply your body weight by
14.
By 14. Okay. Yes, go on.
Okay. And then for your protein, I usually start people at 1 gram per pound of their body weight. So if you're 130 pounds, then you're going to eat 130 grams of protein per day.
Oh, Jesus, that is a lot.
Yeah.
I guess that's why people are so surprised. I don't think I take nearly as much as that.
Yeah. Most people get like half of that, half of their requirement on a regular basis. So
that is a lot. That is so much. Oh gosh. Okay, so brings me to the next question.
Yeah.
What if I can't get all of that in food? Are there certain supplements that you would recommend?
Yes. So protein powder, we always recommend it to everyone. We almost don't consider it a supplement. I think people, when they think of supplements, it's like pills and powders, like pre-workout powders and all these like special things that they don't really know what they're doing, but they heard someone else took it. Protein powder, we consider it like a fast food because we do recommend high protein intakes, and most people don't get them. We consider protein powder like a meal replacement. So if you don't have time to eat chicken or steak or fish, then you can have a scoop of protein powder to replace that. And we don't really see it as like an extra supplement. It's more like it should be part of your rotation, especially if it's very hard for you to hit your goals.
Okay. So just a generic protein in general. Are there certain, like, how do you feel about whey protein versus like soy protein, all of that?
Yeah. We always recommend whey if you're not vegan, if you are not super sensitive to lactose or dairy. Whey is usually a good choice. It's like affordable. There's tons of great flavors. There are lots of good companies now. So whey, either isolate, which is like a very ultra filtered form, or concentrate, which is slightly cheaper. It's basically the same thing. Any of those would be good. We tell people to look in the ingredients list to make sure it's very small, right? If the ingredients list is like this big, then chances are there's tons of stuff that is not protein in there. So what we look for is like 5 maybe ingredients. Like the ingredients go in the order of what's in there the most to what's in there the least. So the very first thing, or at least the first 1 or 2 things, should be the actual protein itself. And then everything after that is like color, artificial or natural sweeteners. That's fine. As long as there isn't like 10, 20 ingredients, that's what you're looking for. And we usually recommend like a carb-free version. So they have meal replacements or weight gainers, which come with a lot of carbs and a lot of calories. And then they have the protein, which is just the powder. And it'll have like 25 to 30 grams of protein and like 2 grams of carbs. That way the calories are low and you're getting mostly protein in there. And those are what we recommend. If you're vegan and stuff, there are tons of good like vegetarian or soy or ghee-based proteins as well. And you want to follow the same rules. Minimal ingredients, lots of high quality protein in there.
Nice. That's all really good advice, Sean. I think we have a lot to work with. So for the exercises, they could go onto your channel, which is Catalyst Training Systems.
Yep.
on a YouTube channel. Do you have any videos on supplements as well on your channel?
Supplements. I think on this channel,
You do.
I do have a supplement video, which is like
Okay.
top 5 supplements for. But the recommendations, I usually go into recommendations for both fat loss and muscle gain. So some
Okay.
good info in there.
Awesome. Okay, so for the folks that ask those questions, I'm going to definitely direct them over to your channel. And for me, wow, that's a lot of protein. So I need to like look into supplements for myself too. There's no way
Yeah.
I'm eating that much at all.
You can do it mental.
I do mentally, I know. All right, Sean. Well, that's it for today. Is there anything else you would like to say to our friends?
Happy holidays in case I don't see you.
Yes. And it's a first snow day in
Yes.
Toronto, like a big snow day. My
Yeah.
gosh.
It's
Do you
nice
like the
though.
snow? Do you like the snow?
I'm not. I hate winter. I'm not a fan of winter at all. But I do find it weird when it's like almost Christmas time and there's no snow and it's
Yeah.
really dry. So at least now it's like it feels like holidays, like
I
it's
know. Like
Christmas.
it.
Yeah.
So we're back again next week, but the following 2 weeks, Sean is away. You're going to be somewhere warm, hopefully.
Not really. I'm gonna be in Europe, so
Maybe not so
warmer
much
than
snow.
here, but not warm.
Not warm. Not
I've
like
never
you're in
gone on a
Hawaii.
cold vacation, so this is the first time.
Awesome. All right, Sean. Well, thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.